Let's go out to the West Coast and bring in Maurice Jones Drew, who joins us on Mondays here on Brent Friends at ESPN 690. Brent Martineau, Aaron Schachter, Casey Kurtz, and Mojo. All right, man. What did you think from afar watching the Jags lose 28-22?
I thought they played awesome. I know a lot of people were concerned, and you kind of sent me some things you wanted to talk about, but I thought the Jags played really well. You saw the defense be opportunistic with turnovers, getting sacks, forcing different things, the offense being explosive at times. And I think because they're young, you find a way to grow, they'll get better. And so little concerned about the touches for the running backs. Mm-hmm. But I'll say this. I remember coming off my foot injury and my knee injury. You don't want to throw them out there right now and give them 30 touches, right? You want them to slowly build them up. And so I think they'll continue to get better, and I think you'll find those wins you guys were talking about down the road.
Let's stay right there, Maurice, with it, because, again, the touches, it's like 18 touches between James Robinson and Travis Etienne. So that's not a lot, but the production was really good. 134 total yards in the receiving and rushing game. So you start adding up those numbers, and that's good for every touch. And then 2 touchdowns for James Robinson, 1 receiving, 1 running. And so the mantra a little bit around here, Mojo, is why not more, like you said. But I do wonder internally if they had somewhat of a pitch count, especially on James Robinson. He was longer in the rehab process. He just got cleared a few weeks back. He really hadn't played a full game yet or any action in the preseason. And so there was a chance they're probably being a bit more careful with him, even though he ran the rock pretty well.
No, for sure there was a pitch count. There always is, right? When you're coming off an injury, they're never going to put you out there the whole time unless you're a quarterback and you're completely healthy. I think for James Robinson, they probably had a touch count like, hey, let's give him about 10 to 13, 12 touches and see what he can do, and then kind of let's slowly build him up. Again, that's a major injury in Achilles, right? And so, and the same thing with Travis Etienne coming off of that Liz Frank that I had, right? You have to make sure that everything's going well. You don't want to overdo it right away. As you saw in the Tampa Bay game with Chris Godwin, he pulls a hamstring coming off of ACL, right? So you got to make sure that you put those guys in position to be successful throughout the whole season. Yes, you want to win week 1, and I know we're all frustrated, but, again, that product on the field was much better than what we've seen in a long time, and they had a great opportunity to win. And so they were up 10 in the fourth quarter?
Yeah, 8, 22-14, yeah, so a touchdown and 2-point conversion.
Well, there you go, 8. And so in that situation, those are things that you're going to learn. There's always a process of learning. That's what I had to learn in Jacksonville when we became a young team, is when you have young guys, they're going to make mistakes. And so you just got to continue to keep getting better and pushing forward. And I think you're going to see some of those wins come out. I know the Colts, everyone's like, oh, the Colts. But, I mean, they struggled last week mightily, like with some very fundamental things, not getting a snap back and turnovers and different things. So as long as you continue to clean up what you're doing, I think that the Jags will be completely fine.
Mojo, you mentioned Chris Godwin a couple of minutes ago. It's interesting to me that he pulled that hammy, even though he was on the pitch count, according to Adam Schefter. But if you look at the carry split between James Robinson and Travis Etienne, pitch count or not, if you're just looking at percentage of possessions, you're looking at like a 66-33 split. Do we all think this was more game script with the Commanders, or do we think that's how the Jags are going to roll with this? Like 2 out of 3 times James Robinson out of the backfield, and then maybe 1 out of 3 for Travis, and then mostly he'll be doing all of his work out of the flat.
No, I think it's very similar to what it was to me and Fred, right? When I was there, Fred was the guy. I would come in and get a series, get certain plays called for me to go in and make plays, and you get that explosive nature out of Travis Etienne. What you're going to get out of James Robinson is that workhorse, right? And you need that workhorse. And then, again, having 2 guys that have the ability to do those things is going to be very important for the Jags as they go down the stretch. There will be some games where Travis Etienne may get a little bit more touches or more playing time than James Robinson, just depending on how the flow of the game is going. But to me, James Robinson has been an every down back. He's been that guy since he's been in Jacksonville. And to me, you don't want to mess that up, because you can count on him carrying the ball and getting better as the game goes along, and you can use the explosiveness and the versatility of Etienne as the game goes.
Maurice Jones Drew with us here on Brent Friends on ESPN 690 as we come off a Jags season opening loss 28-22 to Washington. Talking the running backs, and we'll get to Trevor and we'll get some other things about the game. But just another thought about the running backs. I think it's a sleepy, really good conversation to be had, and it was a good thing coming out of the game. The fact that James Robinson looked as good as he did, 6.8 yards a touch, when he ran on that 22-yard play, he showed quickness. He was able to make a cut. It was like, wow. And then, of course, he's going to be physical. But, Maurice, I also believe Travis Etienne showed us a lot. Now, he had a drop down near the goal line. It wasn't all great, but he showed the quickness. He got to the outside. I mean, those are good flashes. Now they'll get the ball more. They'll get work back into the flow of it. I mean, they have a chance now to be good, and we talked about this last week. It's a floor-to-ceiling room. How are they going to come off injury? If yesterday was a small sample of what they are going to look like in the big picture, this might really be fun around here, Mojo.
Oh, no, definitely. I'll say this. I remember my rookie year, first game, trying to kind of get in the flow of things. It's nerve-wracking. And let's remember, Travis is a rookie.
Yeah, he is.
He's still a rookie. He's not everyone's like, oh, he's a rookie. He missed a whole season. So he still has to get his legs underneath him. And then obviously as the season went on for me, I got better, and I think he'll do the same. And then for James, you saw it. Like, the ability to be explosive, make guys miss, run tough, all those different things that we saw beforehand. And as a guy who owns both of them in fantasy, I didn't play either one. And that's on me. But it was, again, I just like you and we all talked about, I want to see how you feel, how you look, how you play. Now that I see that, I'm like, okay, now we can go ahead and play them and we can get this thing rolling. And so I think, again, same thing for the Jags is those injuries played a big part in kind of the flow of the game and how they wanted to give guys carries. I think you'll see more of a running game. Right, Doug Peterson loves to run the ball, but we saw him throw the ball a little bit more in situations they didn't have to. But it was also it was probably predicated off of how many touches does James have, right? How many touches does Travis have? Are we getting to that threshold? Do we want to slow him down a little bit? They may not admit it, but those are conversations that are had in meetings nonstop. And so I think after week one, now it's like, okay, and I can always go back to when I had my knee injury. I remember we were playing the Tennessee Titans. And Coach Del Rio was yelling at me. He's like, you have 20 carries already, and it's the third quarter. I was like, so what? He goes, bro, we only wanted you to have 12 going into this game, right?
Too bad.
So I was like, oh, right? So in those situations, you want to be able to – you have to be able to communicate and work. And it's a tough task when you have a guy coming off an injury because, yes, you want to win right now, but you also want to have those guys for the future, right, for the near future, later in the season when you go on our stretch run. So – I think, some of the mistakes we saw, some of the throws we saw were just because they had to throw them instead of, running the ball the way they wanted to.
Yeah, well, they were behind the sticks a lot, too. And Doug Peterson already likes to throw it, but they were behind the sticks quite a bit because of the 13 penalties. Maurice Jones Drew with us here on Brent Friends on ESPN 690. All right, Mojo, you can only imagine what it's like here in town, right? Because there got to be guys in that locker room that are like on social media today and like, holy cow, like what's going on here? We're just 0-1 and we actually showed some good signs, but it's been a long road here in Jacksonville. And unfortunately, every new team that gets together has to wear that road that's been paved, which hasn't had a lot of wins along the way. And part of the discussion is, why didn't Trevor get it done? What's wrong with Trevor? 2-minute drill, missed Etienne early on, also did some good things, but I mean, people for the first time are starting to talk about Trevor. Is it too soon? And what do you think about Trevor?
I think it's way too soon to talk as if, he's had weapons all around him, right? You can go back to Justin Herbert and Joe Burrow and those guys. Look, Herbert has had veteran wide receivers and tight ends around him his whole time. So he has guys that he can go to right away. Keenan Allen, Mike Williams. You could throw the jump ball to Mike Williams. Last year, Trevor didn't have that. And no disrespect to Marvin Jones, because Marvin Jones is a really good receiver, but it was just Marvin Jones, right? So now you add some more pieces to it, and those guys got to continue to get better and continue to understand that. If you look at Joe Burrow, for example, his rookie year, he was with Higgins and Tyler Boyd. You bring in Jamar Chase, all of a sudden they look like a completely different thing. So you got to continue to put weapons around Trevor Lawrence and really, continue to allow him to grow. He had that last throw, and I was watching the game, and I was like, okay, he's scrambling. You probably should throw it out of bounds, live for another down. But he's trying to make a play, and you can't be mad at him trying to make a play in a situation where, you're trying to make it work. And so I think, again, he's young. He's going to make mistakes. But this is what the Jags fans have to understand. The process of losing is you lose really bad like we did last year, and then all of a sudden you start to play closer games. And then you lose in the closer games. But then you figure out a way to win a close game. And then once you start to figure out a way to win, all of a sudden you start playing better and better and better. And that happened from 2006 to 2007 with us. We lost a bunch of close games in 2006. 2007, we figured it out. We went to the playoffs. And then some of those other seasons we had where we were 1 win away, 2 wins away, we were going back and forth on that process of winning. So I'm very excited and I would say excited and really want to see what the Jags do next week and how they come back and how they bounce back from this. Are they going to be the old Jags that soak and just go on this losing streak, or are they going to find a way to get after a Colts team that's kind of, a little vulnerable?
It's impossible to talk about Trevor or even the running backs without at least acknowledging the offensive line. What do you guys think the offensive line showed you yesterday? Are you concerned? Do you think it's growing pains with the new pieces there? What do you think's going on up front?
Yeah, Mojo, I mean, that front's good in Washington, but are they that good without Chase Young?
Yeah, I think they were matched up. There were some matchups that Washington took advantage of, and that's always tough, right? Again, it comes down to this. That's a group of 5 guys that have to learn to work together. You saw some miscommunication. You saw some, just different matchup problems. Again, I only can talk about my time when I was there. I remember we played Dwight Freeney and Robert Mathis, and we had Khalif Barnes, and we had Tony Pashos. And we used to tell Khalif, look, we got to help Tony. You're by yourself on Dwight Freeney. You have to lock up with him because Pashos needs help. Well, in this situation, you had some guard issues up the middle. And you just got to continue to find ways to switch your protections, chip help, different things to get guys going. So, I'm concerned. It's week 1. There's a lot of bad O-line play this in week 1 and all around. Even from the Rams, I called that on Thursday night. That was horrible. So that's going to happen. But as the season goes on, they have to continue to get better. And they're only coached by one of my old college teammates, Phil Rauscher. So I know Phil will get them right and ready to roll.
Wow, I didn't realize that. He was an old college teammate of yours. How about that? That's pretty good.
He's a classmate of mine at the great UCLA.
Hey, give me a sense. Go Bruins. Give me a sense of what you were doing and your reaction when Trayvon Walker made the play. Where were you, and what was your reaction?
Okay, I was sitting in the screen room at work. We had a bunch of games on. The Jaguars were on the left, so I was sitting in the front seat of the little theater screening room area, and I was watching it. And when he made that pick, I started screaming, "Go, cut to the left, jump up, do this, do that." And then all I hear is bro, you can't hear you. I was like, but he can hear me. Because that's why he's doing what I'm telling him to do. Now, I just know you have to know.
He's reaching for the game controller. He's trying to press the B button, make a juke move.
The quarterback's going to cut you because you're so big. You got to be able to jump over and make it work. But other than that, listen, he's going to continue to make plays. I think, again, they played a really well game. The touchdown to kind of go for the lead, that was a heck of a throw and a heck of a catch.
It was a good catch.
But it was great coverage, and Carson had pressure on him. So you can win with, you can learn from those and say, look, we're getting better. I think, Campbell had a pick. You're starting to see the defense turn it up. So it's about keeping it at that level when you play the next time.
The Trayvon Walker play was unbelievable, though, right? Just the shed and the instincts and the IQ to go get it, and then the catch and the hands. He's got soft hands. We've seen the play from high school, and people talk about his ability to do it. He's a great basketball player, by the way, Maurice Jones Drew. Very good. I don't know about great. That might be a little over dramatic, but he was really good. In the film room today, how much are they rewinding that play on Trayvon, do you think? I know you were in the running back room, but you got to be holy cow, look at this thing again.
Well, yeah. Well, so this is the thing. It's very Julius Peppers-esque, right? And that's what you get with the first round pick. And then when we were talking about it in the draft, he showed that ability to do all those things at Georgia. Now you're seeing him play at one position and figure it out. And so that's, like I said, it's all about continue to grow, right? And again, I know we've been down this road with the Jags and we've lost, and I was there and I understand it. It's frustrating, but this is a new team with new energy, new coaches, new players. You saw the explosiveness to throw a juke route to Christian Kirk, and he's able to take it almost till he get a first down on, first and 20 or second and 20, right? They have explosive players. They're only going to continue to get better players and better players and better players. I'm really pleased with what I saw, and I expect, wins to come in the next couple weeks. All
right, wrapping up with Maurice Jones Drew. Real quick around the NFL because you follow it all. I had Dak Prescott as my MVP.
No. There's not with the offensive line.
That's what I'm saying, Mojo. Brent doesn't listen to these things.
Well, now that he's out for 2 months or a month or whatever, too. That is
out for a while.
Who impressed you? That defense last night at Tampa, though, was really good. Really, really good. By the way, Leonard Fournette looked really, really good.
Really good.
Why can't Green Bay play in week 1? Why do they stink so bad at week 1?
Well, he has a bunch of rookies, and they played a team that was ready to go. It's very similar to what happened to the Rams, I think, against the Bills. The Bills lost on the last second. That's all they thought about this whole offseason. That's how they went to work. The Rams won a little bit. If you look at the Packers have had a little bit of success, and they've always dominated the Vikings. You go in there, Justin Jefferson is going crazy, and it's tough to try to keep up when you have a bunch of rookies around you. So there's a lot of teams that are struggling. Week 1 is always weird. Like in some of those survivor leagues, it's just weird, right? The Dolphins beat the Patriots. Patriots look horrible. It's just so much that goes on. You just have to kind of let week 1 go, let that get out, and then now you can, after week 2, you can kind of see what teams are who.
I know you do a lot of fantasy football, Maurice, and me and Casey do a lot of fantasy on this side as well. Anyone out there who you were looking at yesterday for your team, who you drafted high, who you go, man, this feels like a mistake? For me, I know I took CeeDee Lamb very high. He's a very talented receiver, but without Dak, that might be a problem. I know a lot of people out there looking at Cam Akers this morning after week 1 going, now what am I doing? Anyone who you're looking at going, I might have a little buyer's remorse here.
No, I kind of stayed away from CeeDee Lamb. I stayed away from a couple guys. I would say I should have drafted Leonard Fournette. I drafted Ezekiel Elliott, but it looks like it's going to work out for me because they're about to be run heavy like a mug.
Yeah, true.
But I took him in the 3rd round. Probably should have took Leonard, but I was like, man, Tom's going to throw the ball all over the yard. You know what I mean? And they're still trying to, but they need to lean on that running game because they have all those offensive linemen hurt. CD's going to be tough, though, especially now without Dak. Yep. It was going to be tough already because Michael Gallup was out there playing with a bunch of other guys. And so, it happens. I think the hardest one is to pick who's going to be the guy between Waddle and Hill every week and down there in Miami. That's going to be tough. But for the most part, most guys showed up. And Saquon, how about that?
How about Saquon?
That was good looking. That was good to see. Really like that. I bet you did.
That against Tennessee, too, out of all teams.
Yeah, that's good. Hey, the division's wide open, Mojo. We got them right where we want them here.
That's right. Let's go ahead and knock the Colts off. No one wanted to win that Houston Texans game. They'd rather kiss their sister. So let them go ahead and have that one.
Saquon was impressive, Mojo, but I don't know if you caught any of Le'Veon Bell and Adrian Peterson the other night.
I refuse to watch that.
Well, you're not boxing?
No, I'm not.
Come on.
All right. No. Hey, you got to go to an interview, so let me get you out of here. And by the way, all of Jacksonville would like you to give Jalen Ramsey a hug the next time you see him.
Hey, listen, Jalen Ramsey continues. People are on him about all this stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But he is one of the only corners in the National Football League that plays man-to-man coverage without safety help. So you're going to get beat up every now and then.
Well, he looked like he needed it the other night against Stephon Diggs, so.
No, don't do that. Stephon's the dog, though.
Hey. All right, man. Thanks for joining us.
See you guys later.
All right, each and every Monday, Maurice Jones Drew joins us here on Brent Friends on ESPN 690 with Aaron Schachter, Casey Kurtz as well, and Mojo keeping it real on the fantasy football front as well.